other model. After visualization, yeah, it is another model. Okay, and okay. At the second part, I want to use Ensemble method. As I told you, the idea behind this Ensemble method is we can use some regressors, such as decision tree as a regressor, and compare the result of the we can use the result of these weak regressors and aggregate them. For example, you can get a simple average from this prediction and produce the final result. It is very common, and we can prove it is a really strong idea for good prediction. So at the next step, I want to create an Ensemble method, and you see in the training tutorial, we can use Ensemble method for classification and regression. You can find it in machine learning category. It is, yeah, in the machine learning category. Ensemble methods for classification and regression. We want to train a model. I use gradient boosting regressor. Gradient boosting regressor. In gradient boosting regressor, we use some decision trees, multiple decision tree, and they make prediction by taking the collective performance of predictions made by this simple decision trees. So the gradient boosting regressor, please be careful, don't choose this gradient boosting classifier because our task is still regressor. It is a regression task. So select input data. The input data is a tabular data. Again, our training data set is the train rows, and this data set contain header. I want to select the data by columns. You can see here, either you can select with the header names or with the index numbers for each columns. So in our case, because we have a header, I can select similar to the previous regressor using all columns, excluding some by columns header name. And I exclude the age and use the other columns to train. And again, dataset contains label is the same dataset and has a header. So I choose the columns with the header name, and the header name is age. As I mentioned before, it is possible you select with the index, then you just easily mention the index of each column. Okay, I execute, and it's start to run. Let's have a quick look at these parameters in the running. As you see here, we have some advanced options. In most of the tools, you see this advanced option. It is for tuning the parameters. If you don't want to use the default parameters, I recommend at the first step, when you are not so much familiar with the models, just put it as a default value. But if you want to use some customized model, you can change the default values. For example, here in our case, in advanced option, you can say, yeah, the default value is 100 trees in the forest, but I want more trees. You can set it 200 or now less trees, 50 trees. And in the default value, you will build 100 decision trees, and based on this prediction of 100 different prediction, you can take an average and find the output. Or here you say the maximum depth of each tree is three, and you can build more deep trees with set it to 5 or 7 or whatever. Oh, this last function is a least square error for the regression, and you can use the other last functions. But I recommend at the first step, please put it in the default value. It's a customized default value, so you don't need to change this advanced option. It is the parameter of the algorithm of the Ensemble approach. Yes, here we use the default value, and the model, the Ensemble model, has been created successfully. So let's see. It is the gradient boosting model. I renamed the generated model with the same name in the tutorial. And yeah, these are some questions in most of the training materials. You see the questions and also the solution. There's for more information about the model. At the next step, again, after we build the model, we should do this. We should use this model for the prediction. So I run this job again, but in this case, we don't want to train a model. We want to load the model and predict. So I want to predict the model. I want to predict using this model. So I load the model. Which model? We have two models in our history, linear regression or gradient boosting. I want to use gradient boosting for prediction. And the data, yeah, the data set that we want to put as an input is the test rows. And this data set contain header. And I want to predict class labels using for these test rows, and I execute. It's similar to the linear one. We build the model and use these tools, but instead of training model, I set it to load the model and predict. Any question? Okay. Let's see the result. Yeah, again, we have the columns for the features, and the last column is the predicted value for the age. And as you see, in this case, we have a header, so we can easily compare the results with the label data. Let me rename the predicted data using gradient boosting. I rename the result. Okay. So, how can I visualize the results or do the evaluation? Again, I can rerun the residual plot or actual plot and predicted curve. But here, for the visualization, I use the test rows table with a label. Which one is? Yeah, test rows labels. And the predicted data using gradient boosting. And please be careful, don't use this test rows labels without header, because you have a header right now and you can easily compare it with the predicted data gradient boosting, because both of them contain header. It is a trick. You should always be careful about the header of the data. So I run this visualization part, and let's see the result and compare with the linear model. Okay. Here is the actual. Oh, I did something wrong. It's clearly seen. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you see here, it's good. I did a very, very bad prediction, and you can see the results. It's my mistake, but I can tell you many things about the results. You see here there's a huge gap between the predicted values and true values, and if you go here, they are far from the x equal to y line. It is a very awful prediction. And here you can see the pattern. They are linearly distributed, not randomly distributed. So all of these three results say our prediction is bad. But I think our prediction is not bad. Maybe I did something wrong. Let's run this again. Yeah, this one, the test, you see, I compare it with the test rows, but I should compare with the test rows label. Let me execute again. Yeah, it was a good result. At least I can show you how the bad prediction is. Yeah, this one far from this line, and this residual one, there is a pattern, not randomly distributed. So it should be fine. Yeah, this is fine. It was my mistake. Yeah, this is somehow near true values to predicted values. You can see here, yeah, they are near to the x plus x equal to 1, and this residual graph is still no specific pattern. But as you see here, the roots mean square error is 3.83 right now, and before we had 4.1. So you had a better prediction with this Ensemble techniques, and also the R2 is quite well. And if you compare this nonlinear model Ensemble method with the linear one, there is an improvement, and you can see in the root mean square error. And you see these 3 steps was wrong because of my mistake. But you can easily use this delete button to delete from the history, these 3. Good. Any question?
I think I did something wrong because my R-square value is about like 0.60 or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. Please check it, and I will share you some documents about the some saved histories, and you can import the histories where you feel you have a mistake and compare them. After we finish this tutorial, I will teach you how you can share your histories or import the available history in your workplace. Okay, so let's go to the next step. In the next step, I want to do a bit advanced machine learning analysis, but it's okay if you feel something is new and you don't understand and you don't know, don't worry. I try to describe in the training materials, and you can ask me any question if you have any question. So there is a big challenge for using machine learning in data analysis for solving a real data analysis project, and it is about the parameter tuning, how you can tune the parameters. As you see in the advanced options, we have different parameters, and most of them are set and keep as a default values, but they have a huge impact most of the time on the results. For example, if you increase or decrease the number of decision trees in Ensemble methods, you will have a different accuracy. And is there any way to find the best one, or just use the default values? The answer is yes. Fortunately, there are some algorithm to tune these parameters, and we call it hyperparameter optimization techniques. And in order to do this hyperparameter optimization, we try to build a pipeline for your data analysis. I will teach you how you can create your pipeline. It is maybe the advanced step. And after you create your pipeline, you can use this hyperparameter optimization and find the best parameter for your analysis. So let's continue. For creating data processing pipeline, there is a tool in machine learning is named Pipeline Builder. Here, this is the Pipeline Builder in a machine learning category. In the Yeah, in this pipeline builder, yeah. In this final, you see there's some pre-processing steps. So if you remember the workflow of the classical machine learning, as I mentioned in the introductory talk to machine learning, it is the first pre-processing steps. And you see there are many pre-processing algorithms here. You can use the matrix decomposition, you can apply some feature selection method, you can use for imbalance learn sampling. For example, imbalance learn sampling is important when your data are not balanced. For example, if you have 1,000 data and only 15 of them belongs to one class and 950 belongs to the second class, it is an imbalanced data classification, and it is useful if you do some oversampling or undersampling to balance this data, because it has a huge effect on the accuracy. So you can use this imbalance learn samplings, but we keep it none because our data is clean and we don't have any pre-processing steps in this training material. But in your real data, you can use some of them here. Yeah, here I want to use this final estimator. Final estimator is the scikit-learn ensemble. I want to use the ensemble method. So the final estimator, so the final estimator is ensemble estimator, and I want to use gradient boosting regressor, similar to the previous step. There is a parameter and value here. In here, I set random state equal to 42. Some of the machine learning algorithms are not deterministic algorithms. They are non-deterministic, probabilistic approach. And in probabilistic approach, whenever you run the algorithm, maybe you have different results because the nature of non-deterministic behavior of the algorithms. When you set the random state equal to 42, every time you run the workflow or this tool, it leads the same result as before, because always the random state is 42 and the probabilistic and non-deterministic behavior of algorithm does not have effect on your result anymore. So I set it a random state equal to 42, so you can compare your result with the training material, because it should be the same. And if you want to rerun the workflow, you see the same result. So I want to output the parameter for search CSV. If you click on this output parameter for search CSV, it extracts the list of parameters, and you can do the hyperparameter optimization in the next step. So again, scikit-learn ensemble, gradient boosting regressor, random state number can be a fixed number, 42 in this case, and I want to extract the parameters. You see here in Pipeline Builder, just kind of recommendation. It says in Pipeline Builder, most of the time after Pipeline Builder, users most of the time use a hyperparameter search tool as the next tool. And exactly we will use this tool as you see in the hyperparameter. So our next tool will be hyperparameter search, and recommendation system recommend us this hyperparameter search. It's very useful. Okay, so you see here we have the new pipeline estimator. It is a zip file and all get params for pipeline estimator. If you see here, this is the file with the parameters of the algorithms and values. Parameters and values. This algorithm have these different parameters and these values are the default value for them. For example, the random state, you set the random state 42. Do you remember? So the random state is 42. And here number of estimators as a default is 100. But I want to optimize the number of estimator in the next step, and I will show you how we can do optimize this hyperparameter optimization and how we can optimize the model based on this parameter. So after you done the pipeline step, you will have the zip file and then a list of the parameter and the default value for them. At the next step, I want to use hyperparameter search. Again, you can find this tool, hyperparameter search, in the machine learning category. I want to search the best parameter, which approach we use. One is the grid search approach. I want to use the grid search to find the best parameter. Two approach already implemented in the Galaxy. And the next one is the randomized search, which is for the random search, but it is for the grid search. And choose the data set contain pipeline. Which one is the pipeline? At the next step, I've created two files. The zip file is the pipeline and estimator. So this one contain pipeline is this new pipeline or estimator. The zipped file output of the pipeline builder. Is the estimator a deep learning model? No, we are not going for deep learning model. No. And choose the dataset containing parameter names. Parameter name is the tabular input, output of the previous step. So this get params for pipeline estimator is the file contains these parameter names. And yeah, here I want to optimize the parameter setting for the search. Choose a parameter name and the search list. A parameter name, these are the list of the parameters from this file. These are the list. Which one do you want to customize? For example, in our tutorial, I want to customize number of, optimize number of estimators. This list means among 25, 50, 75, 100, and 200 decision trees or estimators, find the best one for me. In grid search, it will be search in this possible values for the parameters and find the best one and try to optimize a function using this value. And for the optimized loss function, the output mentioned that, for example, 100 or 25 or 200 among this list is the best number of the estimator. So you can have, if you don't know how many estimator you can use, it is a default value, and you can use some values less than default value and some values more than default value. So the grid search will search among this list and find the best one. Okay. And this one is the advanced option for the search CSV. You can have the select a primary metric for the scoring. I use the R2 recursor. Based on this R2, this one, recursion R2 based on this one. And select the CV splitter. I use the K-fold for the training, and number of splits is 5. Whether to shuffle, I will introduce a little bit about this one. And again, we have the random seed 3111696, similar to the tutorial. Raise fit error, no. Select input type, tabular data, and training samples. Where is the training samples? Again, it is in the train rows. And does that contain header? Yes. And I want to select all columns excluding age. And the header is again in this train. And yes, contain header. And I want to select columns by header name age. And this is the whether to hold a portion of sample for text for test, no. And I want to save best estimator. Yes, I want to save the best estimator. And this fitted best estimator, this is here. And okay, here in K-fold, it is, as I told you, it is some advanced techniques in machine learning. And in the K-fold, you divide the, I introduce in the training materials, you divide the training samples into different K-fold and use one of them for validation and the others for the training, and then shuffle the data and do it again for 5 times. And it is a technique to overcome the overfitting, and you have more chance to avoid the overfitting from your data. So here I show you in the last step of the tutorial how you can create even more advanced machine learning a pipeline with the pipeline builder, and then hyperparameter search, and even you can mention your parameter and define a search list, and it means I'm not sure which one is the best. And this algorithm, optimization algorithm, use discrete search algorithm to find the best possible parameter. And it is also possible if you insert the another parameter as well, similar to the number of estimators. So I want to run this hyperparameter search. You see the result is 2 different files. First is the fitted estimator or model, and this one is the hyperparameters for each data, and you will see the result for each of these parameters. Any question? It takes a bit longer because as you see, we set different parameters and it tries different parameters to find the best one for you. But it is done now. You can see the hyperparameter search here. Yeah, pretty good. You see number of estimators here, 25, 50, 75, 100, and 200. And it is, for example, the mean test score. And maybe this is the mean score time, mean fit time for different parameters. And based on this, and this is the rank for the test score. For different parameters, we rank them. So the best from among the list is 75, then 15, then 100, 200, and 25. So if you want to set your parameters, 75 is the best one among the list. And this model, the created model, is based on the best parameter, based on this 75. So you have your model here, fitted estimator. It is again the compressed zip file. I want to use this model with the best parameter to estimate or to predict the age from the test set. So again, you can use the Ensemble methods for classification, but instead of train model, you should load the model. Which model you want to load? This one, fitted estimator for the this one fitted. And yet the data for prediction is the test rows and contain header, and I want to predict the age for these test rows using this optimized model. Again, execution. Okay. So you can see the results here. Yeah, again, the biomarkers, genes, and at the last column, the predicted value. I want to use again this plotting tool. You can click on this icon to rerun it. And I want to compare the test rows labels with the output of this Ensemble method. Again, I do the same steps for visualization. Yes. Let's see the results. It's quite good. So close to the real value. It is a scatter plot. Near to this line, and as you see, the root mean square error is 3.76, and the R2 is more than the previous step, 94. It's quite good. And as you see, we can use the hyperparameter optimization to optimize the parameter, and it leads the more accurate and precise results. So you can use this steps, the last steps, by building your pipeline and hyperparameter search, and after build a model, you use the optimized model for the prediction. Okay, good. So we've done the first tutorial. It's interesting. Here you can see the original paper. If you want to know more details about the case study, it is the original paper, chronological age prediction based on DNA methylation, massive polar sequencing, and random forest regression. It's published in Frontier Science in Genetics in 2017, and they reported the mean square error 3.93, so or mean square errors even less than their error using these hyperparameters, and the R2 score is the same, 0.94. So we can reproduce or even better results with this machine learning tools in Galaxy. That means it's useful, and you can hopefully can apply for your data analysis in your research, or to producing the data and for visualization and for the prediction. Hopefully it's useful. I have a request from you. Please rate this tutorial for us and give us your feedback, because it is really important for us, and we want to know the feedback for the students or people using this tutorial, and it helps us so much to improve the tutorial for the next versions or modified versions of the tutorials. So please give us your feedback here. 5 means the best, and 1 is the minimum score you can say. And if you have any feedback and any comments, please send using this feedback panel. I stop some minutes to fill your feedback, then we will go further. Any question? Comments? Are you tired?
I do have a question. So now we did this the pipeline for the selection for one parameter. Can we do like many parameters in one go and try to make all the combinatorials?
Yeah.
Like I thought you could add, but I didn't understand if it would do all the combinatorials. Like if I.
Yeah, exactly. You can do it here in the hyperparameter search. Yes, here. You can insert other parameters. You see here, for example, I want to optimize the learning rate. That is 0.1, but I want to try with this one. this one, this one. So it will optimize these two together. Yeah, of course, there are many states. It should optimize of 5, 4. This is the 5, and this is the 4. 20 different possibility for it. And as a result, you will see the 20 different error and rank them from 1 to 20. And the first is the optimized model, and you can use it for your prediction.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Any other question? Have you sent your feedback? Okay. In the next step, I want to talk more about the features in the Galaxy. You see, you did your analysis from the first step with uploading data to visualization, different results. I want to share my history with my colleague. Or if you have any problem, you can share your history with me. If you go here in this history options, there is a share or publish. This is the share or publish. You can click on this share or publish, and here you can make history accessible via a link, or you can here make history accessible and publish. For example, if I, and this means, would you like to share your data, or only you want to share your workflow? Sometimes you have a private data set and you don't like to share it with your colleague in the other research lab, so you don't click this icons, and only the history, your history will be shared, the steps, not the data sets. But if you want to search all objects within your data set, you can click here. And if you want to share with an individual users, you can share with, choose this share with the user, and here you should mention the user's Galaxy account. It is the Galaxy user email as your login to the galaxy.eu. For example, if you want to share your history with me, you can send it to my Khanteymoori@gmail.com. It's my email. It is my Galaxy user account, and you can submit. Click here the submit button and share your history with me. And of course, I will receive this one. I cannot share history with myself, but you can do it. No need to do, but I just mention, if you want to share your history with your supervisor, with your student, with your colleague, you can use this option to share it. The another useful option is extract workflow. Question, Nelly?
Yes. So if your data set is on Zenodo or some other public repository, and you share the history and you share it with the data will automatically be downloaded from Zenodo, or it's better to share the link with the colleagues?
No. When you analyze your data in your history, you should download your data from the public data set. In your history, you should have data sets, either in your local system or you give a link. For example, in our history, as you remember, I gave a link, but all the data downloaded to your history.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your data here in your history, but they are downloaded from some link, some URL to the public data sets, but it is locally available in your Galaxy account, and you can visualize them. So when I share my history with you, all of these data sets will be shared with you. And and here you can choose the extract workflow item. Extract workflow, I want to extract workflow from the history, automatically workflow creation. By default, all of the steps in your history are selected because it's important part of your history. But if you want to remove some step, you can say, oh yeah, please, I don't want this step. But all of them as a default in your history is important. For example, when you find the last result, you can say, oh, it is the perfect. I don't need to record the history or create the workflow based on a history for the linear regressor. I want only the pipeline builder or ensemble methods. So you can click here and disable them. But as a default, all of them are selected. So you can create workflow here. The name is workflow constructed from history disk. Check out and create workflow. Your workflow created automatically, and you can see the edit. If you click the edit button, you can see your workflow. Yeah, it's quite good. You see you started from, if you click here, it will be disappear, so you have more space to visualize your data. Okay, these are the data sets. Remember, these three. And yeah, this is the generalized linear model. And this is the generalized linear model. You build your model, you predict your model, and it is for the visualization. And here you have again for the ensemble, and it is for the pipeline builder. You see, you have a pipeline builder, and in the hyperparameter search, you predict the model, and again in ensemble method you predict, and it is the plot for it. So it is your workflow, and you can run your workflow with different data sets. For example, you create new samples and you want to analyze and predict the age for the new samples. You can easily just run your workflow. Here, you can run the workflow. Run workflow and give the new data sets. Here, it says, okay, give me your train, test, and again, the test rows labels. You can give the workflow new data sets. And by click run workflow, entire workflow will be run from 0 to the end. And it is quite useful. If you want to share your analysis with your colleague and she or he doesn't want to do the same task, you can just share the workflow, and he can use the workflow with their own data in our research lab. Or if you want to do the same analysis with the different data sets, you can easily do with this workflow option and run workflow and create workflow and share workflow among the Galaxy users. Okay. The other useful property is import workflow. As an example, I will share a document with you. Yes, I want to share this Google Doc with anyone have this, can link copy. I share it in the chat, in the where is the I can't find it. Zoom chat. What happened to the Zoom chat? Send a message there in the Zoom chat. Oh, okay. Here I found it. Okay. To everyone in the meeting, can you have an access to this document? No? Why?
No yet.
What?
No, it's not. Oh, you have to change the share link. I don't know. No, it actually says that it's open, but I asked for I request for access because it didn't let me.
A request for the access. Let me.
You need to change it.
Yeah, you need to change it because the defaults are changing in the. Yeah, no, go back.
No, you can't change it. What you can see, yeah.
No, I cannot.
We cannot access.
In your share options over there,
Okay.
you should choose change to anyone with the link.
Yeah, I did it and then copy it and send it.
No, but you didn't say done.
Yes, you have to choose done.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have an access? Okay, good. These are the histories for each step of these training materials. These three training materials I talked with you, and for each of this story you can click. For example, if you click here, it is after the visualize using tuned ensemble method, and this step is the train ensemble method. This is for the hyperparameter search. And if you click here on this link, something open, you see? Do you see here? These are the steps of the training material for the regression until the fitted estimator. And you can go here in this plus icon and import the history in your histories. For example, test. I import it. And you can see one history created as a test, and I import the history in my Galaxy user interface and my Galaxy stories. And you can see all your histories here. This is the Ergison ISCB that I created before, and it is the imported one, the test. It is a very good option, and it helps you to use this shared document. And whenever you see a problem or challenge in your analysis, you can go to this shared document, and until that steps, you can import the history in your Galaxy histories and continue the training materials from that steps. Is it clear?
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
I didn't get how can you share your workflow?
How can you share your workflow?
Uh-huh.
Okay, if you create your extract workflow here, I want to, for example, create workflow and go to the edit. You can see your workflow. And here in the workflow options, you can save the workflow and the other person can use it. It is not, I think it is not the shared one for the workflow. For the workflow, you can just save it, save the workflow, I think. No option to share. Because if you share your history with your partner or your collaborator, then it is automatically generated by the history.
Mm-hmm.
You can easily share the history, and it will be created. But you can save this workflow and use this workflow in your analysis. It is possible, and you can also send it by email or everything. I don't think it is possible. But if I find a way to share the workflow directly, I will inform in the Slack channel to you. And yeah, for example, in this training materials, as I mentioned, these are the workflows. And it is possible to go here and see the workflows. But the workflows are the file with the .ga prefix, postfix. So, any question? I shared this workflow, this is histories with you because in the next training materials, I won't follow the steps, all the steps. I just go to the end, and it is your turn to try to read the two remaining training materials for the classification and for the clustering, and try to do the steps. And if you have problem, you can use this shared histories, or easily you can ask me in the Slack channel, maybe after the workshops. Okay, any question, Ellie? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you have explained it before, but all the tools that we are using are the standard Python or R already developed tools, or are some ones that Galaxy specially developed?
Yes, some of them are the tools that available right now in the Galaxy tools repository, or in the Galaxy tools. I mentioned more than 2,500 tools are available right now. but you can use your interactive media to write something in Python or in R or the other interfaces I mentioned for in my introductory part. It is possible some part of your workflow can be done by your source code that's written in Python, for example. But if you have a specific Python package, for example, or R package or whatever, it is possible that you create and wrap, we call it wrapping. Wrap your tool to the Galaxy, so you will be able to add your tool to the Galaxy and have the customized version of Galaxy with your own tools. And in this training materials, it is also something related to developing tools for the persons who are interested to developing their own tools and wrapping the tools to the Galaxy, and it is possible. So when you wrap your tools, maybe it is interesting for us, and we in the next version or next update of Galaxy, your tool will be added to the Galaxy's European Galaxy server, and everybody and every users can use easily your tool. But if you don't like to be public, you can have an instance of Galaxy in your research lab and try to wrap your own tools to the Galaxy. So it's a facility to use the available tools in Galaxy beside your own tools.